Welcome to the Work Camping with Why Not Wonder podcast. Larry from Hansen on the Road has fully supported himself for years and has traveled across the country and back, work camping, and only doing jobs he loves. He's done so many unique jobs and shares so much wisdom and information that we can all benefit from, whether we're new to work camping or seasoned work campers. All right, so let's start with you telling us your story. What did you do pre-RV life? Why'd you make the change?
Basically, my father owned and ran car dealerships. So as I was growing up, since like the age of 11, that's the world that I was exposed to. At one time, as I got older, I was in my early 20s. He owned an Acura dealership, and I worked there. And I think the expectation was that I would, one day take over the store. But that was his dream and his goal, not really necessarily mine. And so fortunately, he ended up selling the store, and that kind of got me out of that obligation. And I was able to go into what it was that was my passion, which was the stock market. So I end up going to work for a small, like penny stock firm. If you ever saw the movie Boiler Room, that's what this was. I mean, these were guys sitting in a room with phones, going through the white pages, calling old people, trying to sell them these penny stocks. I mean, it was just terrible. But I knew, because I only had like an associate's degree, that I wanted to go to work for one of the big firms, and they weren't going to hire me unless I had all my licenses. And then I could go to them and say, hey, look, if you hire me, you're taking no risk because you're not going to spend any money on me. So I worked for that penny stock firm, got my license, and once I started interviewing with all the big firms, ended up getting hired by Merrill Lynch. And that's how I started my career in 94 or 5 with Merrill in Palm Beach. Subsequently ended up moving to Jacksonville and went to work for Barnett Bank, which was the largest bank in Florida. That got bought by Nations Bank, which became Bank of America. Stuck with them, moved all over the country with them, and got caught up in all the layoffs in like 2010 when the stock market, the housing market and everything crashed in '08. Did different things. It was obviously hard to get back into that industry because, they were laying off thousands of people. I'd moved from Jacksonville. I'm living down the Villages, which is a big retirement area, and just having a blast. I'm playing pickleball twice a day. I'm playing golf. I'm playing water volleyball. I mean, I'm like Kramer and Seinfeld. I'm this young guy living down this retirement community, and it was just awesome. I was working at a Walmart liquor store in Florida. They're not allowed to sell liquor in the stores, so they have separate liquor stores. Walmart does. Now they're attached to the building, but by law, there can't be a door from the store into the liquor store. You have to go out and go around. So managers never bothered you. It was a great gig, and of course, you're selling booze, so everyone's happy to see you. So I'm working part time selling liquor for Walmart, and I'm just living it up, right? And they're like, "What are you gonna do?" Like you, and I'm like, "I don't know," And they're like, "Well, what do you like to do?" And I love to travel. I always have. But I ended up going down the rabbit hole on YouTube and came across Cheap RV Living and Bob Wells, and figured out that I could travel the country in RV and someone else would pay for it because, I was, 45 years old. I needed money still coming in. Started doing all this research, and in April of 16, I bought my first RV, which was a 21-foot travel trailer. And it was 2013. I bought it in 2016. Got a really good deal on it. And petrified, scared to death. Had never trailered anything, never owned an RV, never really spent any time in an RV, had no idea what I was doing. So I figured, well, let me kind of live around this area, and I'll move RV parks every couple weeks. And that way I can learn to tear it down, set it up, trailer it. So anyway, I did all this research on the RV and the RV life and work, work came, all stuff, but I didn't really put a lot of research in like how to get a job, or the fact that, you know, they're hiring now for summer, so here I was, I have this RV and I want to go be a work camper, but I didn't have any job lined up. And so now I'm looking for jobs for the winter because that's what they're hiring for in the summertime. So again, I'm working for Walmart, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to leave. Like, I just want to go and start this adventure. So in August of 16, I transferred with Walmart up to a store in a little town. I don't even know how I found this town, but they had a really cheap RV park because I'm super, super frugal. I don't like to use the word cheap. I'm frugal. I drove up to this little town called Marion, North Carolina, which is about 30 miles east of Asheville. And there was this beautiful little RV park on the river, River came right through the park. They had like a rope swing and everything. And it was $175 a month.
Wow.
I transferred with Walmart. I'm working in the Walmart store, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just do this until I get my work camping job lined up. Well, sure enough, I end up getting an offer to be work security for this RV park in Reno. And I'm like, all right, well, when do you need me? They're like, we need you now. And I'm like, I'm in North Carolina. And they're like, we need you now. So I put in my 2 weeks with that Walmart, and the job with them didn't pay. It gave you your spot and all your utilities, but it didn't come with pay. So of course I still needed money coming in. So I transferred with that Walmart to one in Reno, and I went out there, and my gig was I worked 4 days a week from 6 at night till 10 at night, so 16 hours a week, and that got me my spot and utilities. And this was a very upscale, very nice RV park. I think at that time, now this is 2016, I want to say it was $850 a month, which was a lot of money. There's no way I would pay that. I've never paid that in all my time on the road. So I did my job with them, which was super easy and fun. I basically drove on a golf cart. If anyone came in, because the office closed at 6, if anyone came in, I'd check them in, get their money, show them to their site. I would check the bathrooms, make sure they had paper towel and toilet paper, and just, make sure everyone was happy and safe and following the rules. The only thing I didn't know was Reno is bitterly cold, high desert. It was a really bad winter. I'd get off my shift and I'd come to my RV, and it'd be 3 or 4 minutes to get in because my door would be frozen shut. There's like water running down the inside of my rig and on the walls from the condensation. Like, it was rough, but I loved Reno, and I worked at the Walmart for my money that I needed. And I just explored. I went to Virginia City. I went to Tahoe. I went over to Truckee. I went over to Sacramento, went to an NBA game. Like, I did all the stuff that I wanted to do. That's what I do. I take a job in an area that I want to explore, and when I'm not working, I go do that. That job was a permanent job if I wanted to stay, but of course that was my first job, and that wasn't really my plan. So I knew at that time, when I was looking for that job, that if I was going to get another job, I needed to start looking 6 months, 9 months in advance. And that's when I came across the job for Aramark on Work Camper News to work spring training baseball. And it's in Surprise, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix. And there's two teams that play there, the Royals and the Rangers. So there's a game every 30 days. A game every day for 30 days. And so I just kept going from there to, kept getting jobs. And I'd be booked up a year in advance. There is so much work out here. I never, ever had a problem getting work. And when I talk to people about it, the way I explain it is, so if a pie is 100%, okay, 50% of the jobs I can't do because I'm not a couple. I'm single. And a lot of jobs, they want two workers. If they're going to give you a spot in their park, it's real expensive. They want two workers. So I can't do that. So now we're down to 50%. So now we got to cut that 50% to 25% because I'm not going to do any jobs that require cleaning bathrooms. I'm not going to do it. It's not what I want to do. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not for me. I'll check them. I'll make sure that there's paper and all that stuff. And if there's a problem, I'll contact someone, but it's just not what I want to do. So then let's cut that 25% in half again, because half of them are going to be in places I really don't want to go, or I've already been, I've spent time there, or I've seen everything around it, or maybe it's too remote. So going down to 12.5%, I still find so much work that you're a lot of times trying to make a decision between jobs because you have multiple offers. It's the best thing I've ever done. I love doing it. And, as we were talking earlier, I did take about a 3-year break. I was pretty tired. And I'd been living in my rig for 5.5 years, and I needed another rig at that point. That rig was never meant for someone to live in it full time. I owned my vehicle that I pulled it with, and that vehicle was a mid-size sport ute with a V6. It had a tow capacity of 3,500 pounds, and that rig weighed 3,100 with nothing in it. And that vehicle pulled that thing over the Rockies and everything else for 4.5 years until I was in Dothan, Alabama, and it finally blew up. Yeah, it was time for a new rig, and I was tired, and I just wanted to take a break. And I'd gone to Branson, and I really liked it. And so that it's very inexpensive to live there. I got a beautiful place for next to nothing, and I spent 3 years there working for Ripley's, believe it or not, just having a good time.
That's cool. In one of your videos, going back to the 12 or 12.5% of your jobs that are available to you, I've watched some of your videos, and in one of the videos you said, I don't do anything I don't enjoy. And that is really cool. And I think that is what draws people to want to watch your videos is you talk about, I'm going to say cheap because you said cheap in your video, but you say things about doing things cheap, but still experiencing life. and the fact you don't do anything you don't enjoy. And I think that shows if people when people watch your videos, and that's why they enjoy watching them.
I appreciate it. Would it be great to have this huge YouTube channel or on drones? Yeah, that'd be really neat. But then it becomes a job, and it's not what I wanted. So what I wanted to do was give people information to allow them to make an informed decision. And I've had friends and I've heard too many horror stories where people have accepted jobs with not knowing when that's work there, not really doing a lot of homework. Maybe they're in a bad spot and they really, this came along, and so they don't see the red flags, and they'll drive all the way across the country and they get there and it's not at all what they were told. And so generally, before I do a job, I do my research. Obviously, I want to know all their expectations and then also what's going to come with the job. And then I usually try to find someone, because this community, as big as it is, it's small. I try to find someone that is either worked there or knows someone that works there I can get in contact with, so I can talk to them about their experience. And of course, Work Camper News, you can rate your employer. So there's stuff on there as well. You have to take everything with a grain of salt. Obviously, there's people that, they're not happy about anything. And so, but I've not ever had a bad experience. I've enjoyed every job that I've ever done. Some of them have been very easy and some of them have been very hard, meaning a lot of manual labor. But I find the ones that were a lot of manual labor paid me a lot of money and allowed me to then continue on doing what I'm doing. Basically, the promise I made to myself was I would only do this life as long as I could do it without touching my money for my previous life. I had to make enough money on the road to continue the process. And the minute that I couldn't, I would stop. And I never had that problem, ever. When you're getting free rent and free utilities, most people spend at least 30, 40, 50% of their money on those expenses. I don't have those. So then the only thing I have are the other 50 or 60%, which are variable expenses, entertainment, gas, etc. I can control those. If I have more, I do more. If I have less, I do less. I mean, I can't live like I'm on vacation. I'm not on vacation. This is how I'm choosing to live. So
That's a cool perspective, and it's cool that you have the background, the financial background, to know how to handle living on the road like that.
you have to have a budget. You have to have a budget because it'll get away from you real quick. I've met too many people that have hit the road with the new rig and the new truck. These things aren't cheap. I mean, a truck to pull a rig is going to cost you $70,000. Then you go get yourself a rig, and now you've got yourself in a situation where everyone's finances are different, but maybe you have to take a job or maybe you have to stay somewhere longer than you wanted to because you've got these bills you have to pay. And I never wanted to be in that situation.
One of the worst things you can do when you hit the road as a full-time RVer is rely on campground internet. To say it is unpredictable would be an understatement. But finding our own reliable internet is a challenge we did not anticipate. We struggled through an entire year of endless connectivity issues with the first mobile internet provider that we used. We thought it was normal as full-time RVers until we found OTR Mobile. OTR Mobile has literally changed our life and ability to stay connected on the road. Now, no matter where we are work camping or traveling to, we don't even have to think about our connection anymore because we have fast, reliable, and unlimited internet wherever we go. Thank you to OTR Mobile for sponsoring this episode of Work Camping with Why Not Wander. Oh, I was just going to say, will you just list out all the things you've done?
I've counted 12 different 12 different work camping jobs. Now, you've returned to some of them multiple times, but that's what I was wondering too, is if you could kind of list out all the jobs you've done.
All right. So started with the security job in Reno. Then I went down and worked spring training for the first time. That would have been in 2017. Then I left there and I went to West Virginia, and I worked at a beautiful park in Summersville, West Virginia on the lake. Now, when I first started again, I was working for Walmart. So at this point, I worked for Walmart in North Carolina. I worked for Walmart in Reno. I go to Arizona. I work for Walmart in Arizona while I'm doing spring training. Go to West Virginia. I'm working Walmart in West Virginia while I'm working the work camping job. And I continued doing that until I got down to Biloxi, Mississippi, and they had changed some rules and it was taking too long and I wasn't going to be there that long. And so that was my last time with Walmart. Left in good, parted ways in a good way. But so I leave West Virginia. I think I took some time off And then I went back to Arizona, and that would have been 2018. And then I went to Iowa and worked at Adventureland. And I did Adventureland 3 summers. I did it 18, 20, and 21. Did the Six Flags Daring Lake, which was another theme park. Did Silver Dollar City, which is another theme park that's in Branson. My winter job, one of my winter jobs that I loved was a place called the Big Sports Cart, and that's in Florida. Oh, I was a gate guard in the oil fields of Texas. To get my memory here. I ran a See's candy store in Huntsville, Alabama. So I did that. Ran the pumpkin patch in Vegas in Centennial. That was the job that was the most work. That was 18-hour days. That was insane. I had 6 inflatable rides, 4 mechanical rides, a bungee jump, a food truck, a train, a petting zoo, pumpkins, of course, and about 100 high school kids on payroll. And that was a tremendous amount of work, but it paid me the most money of anything I've ever done. I did the sugar beet harvest once. I'd love to do it again and actually be able to do it. The year that I went, the weather was horrifically terrible. And I was there 3 weeks, and I worked 8 hours in that 3 weeks. And I finally had to leave because I had another job lined up. And so that was a big bust for me. I was a money loser for sure. I think what I've decided is that this time around, it's a lot of wear and tear on your vehicle and a lot of wear and tear on your house bouncing down the road. Okay. And I don't know that I want to go from one side to the other like I was doing last time, where I'm going from Arizona to West Virginia, Arizona to New York, Arizona to Iowa, and then down to Florida, and then Florida all the way to Arizona. I think I want to try to stay a little closer to make it a little easier on my equipment and everything. So we'll see. I mean, for the right opportunity, obviously, I would do it, but I think, maybe staying within a state or two might be a little easier. I think my last year on the road before I took my break, I think I spent about $9,000 in gas. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely expensive.
Yeah, we've decided the same thing, to try to stay on one side of the country for 2 or 3 seasons, rather than bouncing back and forth.
Well, all my family's in the East, so I was kind of thinking I'd maybe slowly work my way that direction, and then it'd make it easier to see them at some point.
So what's your least favorite part about work camping?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is, the fact that I don't really get to see my family very much. I really haven't had a bad experience. Like I've had some jobs where I had to work a lot. Okay. Here we go. The only thing I can think of is all the, when it comes tax time, I would have to fill out state income tax for like 4 or 5 different states. That's probably the only thing I can think of that's really inconvenient. That's probably the only thing I can think of. Again, I haven't had a bad experience. I've enjoyed everyone I've worked with. I've enjoyed the jobs I've done. I don't have anything bad to say about any of it.
That's awesome. That's a testament to doing what you love, only choosing to do what you love, and the research involved. I think that's the key to all of that.
You have to do that. I mean, I feel bad for anyone that gets himself in a bad situation, but I mean, if you didn't do any due diligence, I mean, who do you really have to blame at that point, So, yeah, I've only ever really worked for big places pretty much. I mean, I worked at that RV park in West Virginia that was owned by that family, but I had talked to people who'd worked there before. So that was in, 2017, and I'm still friends with majority of the people that I worked with on Facebook. I mean, we still keep in contact. So the ladies I met in Tucson yesterday, we worked together at Amazon. That was another job I did. I worked in Amazon Fulfillment Center in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
That's really cool. So your favorite job was spring training.
Spring training by far is my favorite job because I love baseball. I'm a huge sports fan, and you get to know the players. They get to know you. You're hanging around Hall of Famers. Ferguson Jenkins has a table set up to sign autographs for charity. So I've gotten to know those guys. The weather's beautiful in Phoenix that time of year.
What does your day look like when you're working spring training?
So you show up generally about an hour and a half before game time. They feed us. We stock this because I work retail for them. So there's 2 permanent stores, one in the outfield behind the wall and then one behind home plate. Then there's a big tent in the walkway on the first base side. And then there's me on the third base side. And I have this little thing that they roll out, and I'm selling stuff as well, balls and bats and pennants and gloves and markers for signatures and all that stuff. So I set my store up, get everything stocked. And then they open the gates and the people start coming in, and I'll be busy, before the game and maybe a little bit after. And then during the game, you got the occasional straggler between innings. And it's super fun.
And so you just get to watch the game.
Yes, because I'm literally at third base. I'm in the walkway at third base. I got nothing in front of me. So just enjoying myself. It's a great gig.
Do they give you your site?
No, that is the only job that I do. Not that I've done, but now that I do, there's no site included.
Okay.
Again, did my research and found an inexpensive park. I'm utilizing one of the memberships that I have to stay at the park that I'll be staying at.
So out of all the jobs that you've done, and you've done a ton of jobs, what has surprised you the most about work camping?
Probably how easy it is to find something to do, and how easy it is to find something to do that I like, that I enjoy, and that I want to be doing every day while I'm there. Because there just is such a plethora of work out there, just so much to do. And we were talking about this yesterday with the girls. I think the thing to answer your question specifically is the types of jobs there is. You would not believe the things that you're able to do that they offer. The couple I was with yesterday, they worked a job up by Seattle where they worked in this plant where they were packaging frozen foods for like Costco, like fruits and vegetables. I mean, I would have never, ever, that's something I never would have even thought of. Me with the spring training and the gate guarding in Texas and the sugar beets and the different theme parks. And I mean, you name it. There's just so many things you can do. And again, a lot of it's stuff that I never would have thought of that they'll literally pay you to do, give you a spot to live, and it's a temporary gig. So you're there, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is, and then you're off to the next thing. And so you do some traveling on your days off and go explore the area. I usually try to stay within about a 3 or 4 hour radius in a big circle. And, that's when I'm looking for work camping jobs. That's one of the things I look at. I look at what am I going to be able to go do and see while I'm there. I mean, when I was in West Virginia, I went to Washington, D.C. and did the whole Smithsonian and all that stuff, and took the day and did that,
So tell us your number one tip for someone looking to get into work camping.
Well, I tell people all the time that this is not a secret. Anyone can do it. There's no secret password. I don't think there's a huge barrier to entry. Okay. Yes, you have to have a rig, of some sort of self-contained place to live. So there's not a huge barrier to entry. So I would say if it's something you're seriously considering doing, you can do it. I mean, I would encourage anyone who wants to try it to give it a try. Now, I'm not a big proponent of people, I'm going to sell everything. Well, if you've never done it, that may not be a great idea. I didn't know if I was going to like this when I did it. So basically, I took all the stuff from my house and I put it in a storage room. And I figured, you know what, I'll go do it. And after 6 or 9 months, if I don't like it, I come back, I get another place, I get all my stuff out of storage, no harm, no foul, right? Well, the bad part about that was I ended up paying for that storage room for 5.5 years. So I could have bought everything in there all over again. But I wanted that safety net in case it didn't work out. So, it's a great life. And I am so glad I made this decision. But is it for everybody? No, of course not. But everyone could do it if they wanted to. And there's so much work. I would tell them that if they're worried about finding a job, I don't know that I would really be worried about that. Your life experience that you have and things you've done will translate over to what we're doing out here. That was the other thing. I worked at KOA in Iowa, and we had a Hunt's Brother Pizza, and Friday and Saturday people, were busy. People call, hey, I'm in site 100. I want a pepperoni pizza. I'd make it, and we'd deliver it to them on a golf cart, and I stayed busy all night long. So you tell me you can't make pizza? I mean, you do it all the time at your house. I mean, it's so easy. Hunt Brothers, you put the toppings on, you stick it on this conveyor belt, it goes through, you grab it on the other side, and you take it to the site. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I would tell them to give it a try. I think that they would like it.
We agree. What's your least favorite part about full-time RV life?
Obviously, you're going to be living in a much smaller space. You're going to have a lot less stuff. And, we live in a world that our economy is based on about 75% consumption. So we come out of the womb, we're placed in front of a television, and we're bombarded with commercials, and we spend our life buying stuff. We buy stuff we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't know or care about. So you have to not do that. My rule is if something comes in, something goes out. You can only carry so much weight in your rig. So I really only have stuff that I need, not stuff that I want, stuff that I need that I'm going to use. And if I don't use it in 90 days, and I'm not talking about in the summer, winter clothes, but if other things, if I haven't used, if I look at it, I'm like, man, when's the last time you even touched this? It's more than likely gone. I'll donate it. I'll sell it. I'll throw it away. Whatever the case is, depending on what it is. But, and then having to deal with waste, when you're living in a house or anything else, you go to the bathroom and you don't think about it anymore. In an RV, when we go to the bathroom, that's just the start. Like, that's just the beginning. You have to get a very close relationship with poop. And a lot of people don't like that, but that's just the truth.
That's absolutely the truth. Have you had any challenging times with your RV as far as like on your trips from one place to the next or anything like that?
So I was in St. Louis and I had gone and done the Arch and took a tour of Busch Stadium and all that stuff. I had come back to the rig. I was parked in downtown in a parking lot. Anyway, so I get back to the rig and I'm going to go in and I put my key in the door and it breaks. So now I can't get in my rig. And the only other way in was through a storage door. And I'm not going to fit in that. So I drive to the Walmart in Kentucky and it is pouring rain. So I go, it's like 7:00 at night, and I go into the auto place, I guess was open maybe another hour or something. I go in there and I tell them what had happened. And I'm like, is there anything you can do? And there's nothing we can do, so then I'm like, all right, well, what I need to do now is I need to walk around the store and see if I can find a kid, and the kid can fit through the storage door, and the storage door will come out through my nightstand and in the rig, and they can open the door for me. But I can't just like walk around saying, hey kid, come, I'll end up on some kind of registry. So luckily the guy behind me had heard my story and he says, I think my wife can fit there. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it's a really small storage door. And then not only is that small, but you're going to have to, as soon as you get in that storage door, you're going to have to do a 90-degree turn and come out through my nightstand into the RV. And he's like, yeah, I think she can do it. So sure enough, she comes and she does it. Right. Well, that's fine for right that second. But the minute I go outside my RV again, I'm locked out. So he stood with me in the pouring rain. I mean, pouring rain. And we drilled out that lock to where I could use the door, but there was no lock until I was heading to Huntsville for my Seas Candy job. I could buy a new handle and replace it. And I mean, without him doing that, I mean, it was really going to be a bad situation. And so he refused to take anything from me. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you just stood in the pouring rain for 30 minutes. So he finally relented and we drove over to the Murphy's gas station, the parking lot in his truck, and I filled his truck up for him, to thank him. But I think that's the only thing I really had that was super difficult. Other than that, I've been extremely lucky and fortunate. So let's keep it that way.
Absolutely. But what a great story. My goodness.
You know what? We hear all kinds of bad stuff on the news, and I'm not naive. Obviously, there's bad things and bad people and bad stuff happening. But that's not what I've experienced on the road. I've experienced people who had nothing, but they'd still give you half of what they had. I've experienced people who would help you any way they possibly could. I've made the best of friends. Like I said, still stay in contact with people that I haven't worked with in 7 or 8 years. This is a different life. If you're a social person, this is a great life because you've never met a stranger in a campground. Someone will have a fire and next thing you know, you're sitting around it and you're, drinking a Coke or whatever it is you're into. And within a month, you guys are lifelong friends. It's just how it is. If you're not making friends in an RV park, it's because you're not leaving your RV. You made that decision.
I was just going to ask you what do you love about full-time RV life?
The freedom. I mean, that's really what it boils down to for me. I love to travel. I love to sightsee. I love history. I like going and learning. To me, every day you should be learning something new, and just the freedom to be able to go where I want and do what I want, when I want, how I want, that kind of stuff. I spent plenty of time in a bricks and sticks, sitting behind a desk, doing all that stuff, and I didn't want to do that anymore. When I was in West Virginia, I met people in their 60s and 70s that had never seen the ocean.
Wow.
I can't even. So a lot of people want to see my videos that I do so they can experience the Pima Air Museum or the Grand Canyon or the Alamo or And not that you can't see it on the internet, not that there's anything special about me or I'm doing anything special, but there's a personal connection when I do it than just some random video.
Absolutely. So we've been enjoying seeing you back on social media. So where can everybody find you?
They can find me on YouTube and Instagram under the all one word, Hansen, Hansen, on the road. It's all one word, and that'll be my YouTube channel, which again are videos on work camping jobs. So if this is a life you're considering and you want to see what type of jobs you can do and how much it's going to pay and what you got to wear and what they're going to give you and what they expect and your duties and all that kind of stuff, that's where you would go. And then Instagram is where you're going to find pictures and videos and stuff like that of my adventures.
We love all of your content. So
Thank you so much.
we'll put links below for all of that as well. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been so wonderful to talk to you.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys asking.
Thanks so much for listening to the Work Camping with Why Not Wander podcast.
You can see today's show notes at whynotwander.com/podcast. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive regular updates from us, along with special discounts at whynotwander.com/updates.